Hi, everyone, welcome to Fong's Fables. Let's start the story. My roommates locked me out on the balcony in the middle of winter. I snapped. A story of cold toes, cold hearts, and finally losing my goddamn mind. So here's where it begins. Strap in. It was the dead of winter. Not cute winter. Not snowflakes and lattes. I mean wind cutting through your skin, bones rattling, freezing your breath in the air kind of winter. The kind of cold where just walking to the bathroom barefoot feels like a death march. That night, I woke up groggy and half asleep, bladder nudging me gently like, hey, we gotta go. So I got up, shuffled to the bathroom, not even suspecting that this would be the night my patience, already frayed, would be set on fire. On my way there, I vaguely felt something behind me. Just a weird rustling, like the air moved wrong. But I was too drowsy to care. I did my business, came back, and walked up to the balcony door to go back inside. Click. Nothing. I pulled again. Still nothing. I yanked with more force, my half-frozen fingers starting to tremble, not from the cold yet, but from the realization slowly curling its claws into my mind. They locked it. No. No way. They wouldn't. I pulled again, this time bracing one foot against the wall, full force, full weight, like I was in a low-budget spy movie trying to break into a vault. Still locked. Not a budge. Dead quiet inside. And then it hit me. They locked me out. On purpose. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a silly misunderstanding. This was orchestrated. Calculated. Deliberate. I banged on the door. First politely. Then urgently. Then like a woman possessed. Open the damn door. This isn't funny. Nothing. No sound. No footsteps. Just the wind howling through the balcony bars like some sick laugh track. I started screaming. Yelling. Pounding. I grabbed the nearest plastic basin and started slamming it against the door, over and over like some DIY war drum. Open the door. You think this is a joke? It's freezing. Let's see who can last longer, you inside, or me out here. I was no longer sleepy. I was wide awake now. Eyes blazing. Feet numb. Voice cracking. Drenched in adrenaline and rage. And still, they didn't open. That's when it clicked. Of course. Crystal Lee. My roommate. My nemesis. My personal Voldemort. She'd been passive-aggressively waging war on me for months. Why? Because I, some no-name student from a poor rural family, had dared to compete with her for a scholarship. A foreign exchange spot. Prestige. Glory. Her family. Loaded. She didn't need the money. She just wanted the clout. She used to snicker behind my back, calling me a country bumpkin because of my second-hand clothes. She and her 3 rich girl sidekicks treated me like I was the help. And I endured it. All of it. The gossip. The insults. The eye rolls. The accidental spill on my bed. The way they would blast music while I tried to study. The times they used my things without asking. The way they'd dump my half-dry clothes onto my mattress, soaking it. Even when I went to our student counselor, they brushed it off as normal dorm quarrels. Told me not to be so sensitive. That girls will be girls. So I told myself, just endure. Just get through this. Graduate. Get your degree. Leave all this behind. But now I was locked on the balcony in my thin thermal pajamas, the cold biting into my bones like 1,000 tiny knives, and all that endure it a mindset? Gone. Dead. Buried. I slumped against the door, thinking about every single insult, every humiliation, and the frost slowly creeping into my toes. My breath was white. My nose was red. My tears were hot, but quickly frozen by the wind. And then, I heard it. Laughter. Low. Muffled. coming from inside the dorm. They were laughing. Laughing. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I don't mean metaphorically. I mean I literally felt something crack in my head like a twig snapping under a boot. I stood up, grabbed the drying rack with my frozen hands and kicked it down with everything I had. Plastic pots and metal rods scattered across the balcony like shrapnel. I picked up a bucket and slammed it into the glass door, again and again, screaming like a banshee. Open the door. I swear to God I'm not playing anymore. Silence. I was shaking. Not just from the cold, but from the surge of rage rising in my chest like lava. My whole body buzzed with fury. I turned around and saw their stuff, their precious little shampoos, body washes, expensive lotions, lined up neatly on the rack. Crystal's fancy bottles. Her little trophies. Her high-end imported nonsense that she used to mock me for not knowing. Fine. I picked one up. Read the label. Something about Cash Black Diamond series. Whatever. I opened it. And I poured the entire damn thing into the squat toilet. Then another. And another. One by one. Glug. 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 Into the abyss. I was careful not to touch my own stuff. I only wanted theirs. I cleared the shelf. Kicked it. Stomped everything. Crushed bottles beneath my heels like some deranged exorcist. It felt good. Like being back in the countryside as a kid, running wild, not caring about rules or appearances. I hadn't felt this alive in years. I remembered how I used to tiptoe around them, afraid to stir the waters. How I was told to be considerate, don't cause trouble, be mature. But tonight? Mature is dead. Chaos is alive. Let's see if you cry over money now, I spat at the door. You think I'm the country bumpkin? Then welcome to the village, baby. I grabbed more of their junk. Lipsticks. Foundations. Toners. Dumped all of it. Then, inspired by madness, I shrieked, I'm gonna pour all this into the water dispenser next. I screamed. I cried. I laughed, like a saint being crucified and laughing at the crowd. I rubbed my head like a mad gorilla, made screeching noises, scratched the glass door with my nails, leaving trails like claw marks. The door burst open. Crystal stormed out, face red, eyes wide, practically foaming at the mouth. What the hell are you doing? You dumb hick. Do you know how much that shampoo cost? That was cash. Black. Diamond. Series. You couldn't afford to pay me back even if I sold your whole family. Good. I ducked past her like a shadow and slid back into the dorm, finally feeling the warm air wrap around my frozen skin. I was home. She kept yelling, clutching the empty bottles, demanding that I pay her back. Her little minions gathered around, all gasping and whining like backup dancers. It was just a joke, one of them said. We were just messing around. You're seriously overreacting. No. They locked me outside in sub-zero weather. That's not a joke. That's cruelty. And guess what? That night? I finally stopped being afraid of them. They actually had the nerve to say that, a joke? Seriously? A joke. They locked me outside in the freezing cold, and then had the audacity to brush it off like it was some kind of prank. Like, just kidding. Lighten up. No. No, absolutely not. If I hadn't snapped just now, if I hadn't gone full psycho on them, they probably would have never let me back in. Ever. I've had enough. I've really had enough. Talking reason with them? Pointless. Useless. Absolutely impossible. There's no breaking through that wall of smug, groupthink cruelty. The only thing that works is doing what I just did, going completely off the rails. And right now? That same feral, unhinged energy? It's itching in my bones again. Stirring under my skin. So I rolled my neck at a weird angle, flipped my eyes up until only the whites showed, and started moving forward slowly, stiffly, like a possessed marionette. Just like the old spirit medium from my village when she used to communicate with the gods. My arms waved aimlessly in the air, fingers twitching. He. So many fresh, tender young bodies. I muttered, my voice shrill and raspy, I just woke up, and now I get to feast. Slurp slurp. My hair was a mess, tangled and wild, and I tilted my neck at a sharp angle, letting my head droop like a broken doll. I stared at them, dead on, unblinking. I made my voice hoarse and choked it at the throat like I hadn't spoken in years. Then I curled my tongue deep inside my mouth like I was starving, like I could barely wait to take a bite. One of Crystal's little minions rolled her eyes and said with a sneer, Jane, what the hell are you doing? Have you frozen your brain out there? What do you think this is, kindergarten? You really think we're going to believe this crap? Okay. Bet. Let's see how far I can take this. Honestly? I've always had good flexibility. I used to do part-time gigs as an NPC in escape rooms, playing creepy ghosts. Never thought those skills would come in handy here of all places, but guess what? So I dropped. Bam, both hands and feet hit the ground at once. And I started crawling. Like a spider. Like something out of a horror movie. I scuttled across the floor right at them, fast and silent. They shrieked. They backed up. Stumbling, tripping over themselves, scrambling like panicked prey. And I kept laughing, eerie, high-pitched giggles, he. That poor girl from before? Her body was too weak. She froze to death already. But right before she died, I paused for effect, eyes wide and gleaming, she promised to give me her body. In exchange, I get to eat you all. I dragged out the words in a low, horror movie villain voice, swaying my head from side to side like a pendulum. And their faces? Priceless. Just moments ago they were so high and mighty, standing next to Crystal, ready to teach me a lesson. Now. All three of them were huddled by the dorm room door, trembling like they were watching the devil herself. You've got to be kidding me, Crystal stammered. She didn't run like the rest. Probably didn't want to lose face. You guys don't actually think she's possessed, do you? She pointed at me, her fingers shaking. Tried to force out a mocking smile, but it cracked at the corners. I mean, we don't believe in ghosts, obviously, she said. But like. Look at her. That's not normal behavior. Mentally ill people can be really violent, you know. The girls near the door whispered to each other, still unsure. They still didn't believe me? After all that Oscar-worthy performance? Fine. You want real? I'll give you the full show. I looked straight at her, so close, right in front of me. I sprang to my feet and launched myself at her, full beast mode. Grabbed her hair, yanked her down, and slammed her onto the ground. I picked up a phone, who knows whose it was, and smashed it into her face. Wham! You locked me outside, I screamed, wild, foaming at the mouth. It's freezing. I'm hungry. Give me blood. Give me food. I straddled her like a lunatic, rocking back and forth, shrieking. My hair flew around me, my face twisted into a mask of rage. Her nose started bleeding. Actual blood. I saw real fear in her eyes. For the first time ever, Crystal, the queen bee, the ice queen, was scared. She kicked and squirmed beneath me, but I was too strong. I grew up helping out on my family's farm. My arms are not weak. I know how to hold someone down. This was a show, and I was going to nail the performance. Let them all witness my undeniable acting prowess. If I was gonna go off, I was gonna do it perfectly. So I opened my mouth wide, like a monster, and sank my teeth into the side of her neck. No hesitation. No regrets. I bit her. And guess what? Damn, she smelled nice. Like perfume. Subtle, but definitely there. I mean, I've heard the rumors, Crystal is always flirting with guys, dressing to impress, always dolled up. She put effort into her looks, and it showed. I bit harder. And then, she screamed. Loud. Gut-wrenching. Eardrum shattering. She bawled like a child. Please don't eat me. I'll do anything. Please. I was like, wow. Okay. That escalated fast. She was crying so hard it made my ears hurt. Just absolutely howling. So apparently I'm possessed now and everyone's losing their minds. So? The girls at the door? Completely freaked. Just stood there in stunned silence for like 2 full seconds. Then suddenly one of them screamed, like full-pitch horror movie scream, "There's a ghost." A ghost. She's possessed. And then? Gone. All of them. Vanished like startled deer. Gone in a puff of dormitory terror, probably halfway down the hallway before I even blinked. Meanwhile, Crystal? She was still pinned beneath me, crying like a soggy dumpling, sniffling through her tears and whimpering stuff like, "Please don't eat me, my meat isn't even tasty." Honestly, I started to panic a little myself. Like, what do I even do now? I was committed to the bit, sure, but this was new territory. So I leaned into it. Clawed the air a little. My jaw ached from all the fake biting, but I gritted my teeth and hissed, "Tastes pretty good. I want more. I want a big, juicy bite." Then, for dramatic flair, I grabbed her leg and lifted it up, leaned over it like I was about to chomp down. Chomp chomp, right? Crystal's eyes snapped open, wide as saucers. The realization hit her like a slap. And then she screamed, just one short, high-pitched yelp, before her eyes rolled back like in an exorcism, and she actually fainted. No joke. I blinked. Like, wait. What? She fainted. This girl who literally locked me out into the freezing winter night, not giving a damn if I lived or died, passed out over a little ghost cosplay? Her mental fortitude is so weak? That's the straw that broke her? I was genuinely baffled. I slapped her face a few times, not hard, just like, "Hello? You good?" Then nudged her with my foot. No reaction. Not even a twitch. Yup. Out cold. Okay, I thought. Well, can't really scream at a corpse. It was late. I was tired. I figured, performance over. Encore's done. Audience fled. Curtains closed. So I shut off the lights, climbed into bed, and went to sleep. That should have been the end, but no. I had barely started dreaming when I was rudely awakened by someone violently shaking my shoulders. Jane. Jane. Get up right now. I rubbed my eyes. Squinted. Sat up slowly. Who the hell? Oh. Great. It was the dorm counselor. Still in pajamas, looking like he got dragged out of bed in the middle of a nap. His hair was a mess, breath foggy from the cold. Behind him were my roommates. Huddled near the door like traumatized meerkats. Their eyes were wide with lingering fear. They looked at me like I was a demon straight out of the ring. The counselor crossed his arms, brows furrowed like he just walked in on a murder scene. "We got reports from your dorm mates," he said, voice serious. "They said your room is haunted. That you were possessed. What's going on here?" I blinked at him. Rubbed my eyes again. Made my voice as soft and confused as I could. Huh? What are you talking about, sir? Haunted? Possessed? I don't understand. I've just been here, sleeping this whole time. I even did the innocent head tilt. Classic wide-eyed, anime protagonist look. Master class. And that's when Crystal, who had been laying on the floor like the dead, woke up. She opened her eyes, saw the counselor, and instantly knew she had backup now. She sat up like Frankenstein resurrected, pointed right at me, and launched into full hysterics. "Jane. You absolute psycho, she screamed, voice hoarse. What the hell is wrong with you? You scared me half to death pretending to be some goddamn ghost. What if I'd had a heart attack? What if I'd died? Now the counselor's here and you're still pretending? Still playing dumb. She was foaming at the mouth, furious, spitting curses like a rabid dog. The girls near the door eagerly chimed in. She totally lost it. She just started attacking people for no reason. She's been acting weird for days. She tried to bite her. I turned away, slowly, dramatically, like a betrayed princess in a historical drama. Covered my face with both hands. Shivered. My voice trembled. I don't know what's happening. I'm just so scared. It was so dark, so cold. The counselor's face softened immediately. Jane, he said, voice gentle, don't be afraid. Just tell me everything. I'm here. I'll protect you. You can trust me. Oh really? Now he cared? This man, who had ignored me countless times when I said I didn't get along with my roommates. This man, who brushed off every single dorm change request I submitted. Who told me I needed to learn to get along with others. Who practically scolded me for not fitting in. Now he wants to act like the savior? Give me a break. I nearly laughed out loud at his fake concern. I told you before, I said, voice low, I don't get along with them. I told you so many times. I begged to switch rooms. But you didn't believe me. You said I was the problem. You told me to just get used to it. Wait, I paused. So all of that wasn't a dream. I looked down at my hands. The cold. The door. Being locked out. Shivering until my bones felt hollow. Almost losing consciousness. That actually happened. I was locked out, I whispered. They left me out there. I almost froze to death. Crystal's face paled. And then? As expected, she snapped. I knew you were faking it. You're crazy. You're a straight-up lunatic. You seriously bit me, you little freak. What kind of rabid dog are you? Girl. You passed out. You screamed. You looked like you were about to meet your maker. But sure, go off. The counselor raised a hand to stop her, clearly annoyed by the yelling. Enough, he barked. I need to know what actually happened here. He turned to me. Calm. Gentle. Jane, just tell me the truth. I'm listening. At that moment, I explained everything, how I'd been locked out on the balcony by someone. I was truly terrified, I really was. I had no idea what to do. No matter how much I struggled, the door just wouldn't open. I covered my face with my hands, pretending to sob in humiliation and helplessness. Maybe your roommates were just sleeping too deeply in the middle of the night, the counselor said, trying to smooth things over. But I shook my head slowly, sniffling, and added with a broken voice, when I was at my lowest, I heard this voice in my head. It told me that if I handed my body over to it, it would help me break free from this nightmare. And after that, I lost consciousness. The counselor didn't even get a chance to react before I suddenly cut him off, raising my voice in a burst of stage distress. When that voice took over my body, did I do something awful? I cried out, guilt painted all over my face. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The counselor was clearly rattled by my bizarre story. It took him a long time before he finally squeezed out, You're not developing schizophrenia or something, right? But before he could continue, Crystal suddenly snapped back to life like a hyena smelling blood. An apology? That's it? She shrieked, almost triumphant. You crazy bitch, you destroyed my entire cash black diamond makeup set. You better pay me back. Seeing me return to my previous, easy target demeanor, she got bolder, licking her lips like she'd finally cornered me. I sighed. That was the voice in my head. How about I call him out again so he can explain it to you himself? Explain it to you himself. And with that, I started shaking my head side to side, slapping my temples with both hands like a maniac, muttering louder and louder, "He comes out when I feel wronged. You'll see. I'll call him now, woo-woo." Then, I screamed, voice cracking. "Blood. I crave blood. Sister." Whatever memories were attached to that name, they clearly weren't good. Crystal's face turned ghost white. She panicked and shouted at me to stop. "Enough. Stop it. Just pay me back and let this go," she shouted desperately. The counselor, finally fed up, snapped. "That's enough, Crystal. I used to think you were just petty, but this time, this is serious. You bullied her until she had a mental breakdown. You'd better start behaving, or I'll report this whole mess to the department." That shut her up real fast. It was honestly a rare sight, those two were usually thick as thieves. Crystal opened her mouth like she still wanted to argue, but the counselor didn't even glance at her. Instead, she turned to me, grasped my hand, and said gently, "Jane, when the scholarship grant comes through, you don't need to pay back the 20% that's normally used as class fees. Use it to go get yourself checked out at a proper hospital, alright? Think of it as a token of goodwill from the whole class." If I hadn't been listening to the actual words, I might have been genuinely touched. Wait, 20% of the scholarship was supposed to be handed over as class fees? Crystal stood there, frozen, her face tight as stone. The counselor couldn't hold back a laugh. "All right, it's late. And let's be real, if you hadn't locked her on the balcony in the middle of winter, none of this would have happened. Besides," he added with a chuckle, "Jane gets by on a scholarship, how's she supposed to afford your fancy makeup kits anyway?" With that, he told everyone to rest, turned off the light, and left. I couldn't help but feel there was some double meaning in his words. After that night, the whole vibe in our dorm changed. It got awkward. Like really awkward. If the room had been buzzing with chatter the second before I walked in, the moment I stepped inside, the entire place fell into a tomb-like silence. I guess I really did traumatize them that night. But honestly, I was loving it. Now, when they played video games at 2 a.m. and disturbed my sleep, all I had to do was cough once, and poof. Dead silence. With no one to bother me, my study efficiency skyrocketed. I even set a new goal for myself. I was going to work hard, win a scholarship, and buy myself a laptop. I didn't dare slack off. Eventually, midterms rolled around, and guess what? The teacher announced I got the highest score in the entire grade for our major. Everyone turned to me with awe in their eyes. Well, almost everyone. "You deaf or just stupid?" Crystal stormed into the dorm one day while I was peacefully reading. "Didn't I tell you not to fight me for the scholarship?" She grabbed my book and chucked it to the floor. I had had enough. The old me might have tried to reason with her or run to the counselor. But I knew better now. Reasoning? Reporting? Pointless. Only madness gets results. I started shaking my head again, making those creepy, jerky movements, and screamed like something out of a horror film. Then I ran to her desk and swept all her books to the ground. She was furious. She turned to the other girls, her usual ass-kissers, and snapped, "Well, what are you standing there for? Help me pin her down." But the girls didn't move a muscle. I kept screaming and clawing at the air like a rabid animal. "Crystal, you did provoke her first," one of them muttered. "And, well, if she's actually mentally unstable, remember, mentally ill people can kill someone and not even go to jail." They huddled together in fear. "She's faking it. Don't believe her." Crystal hissed. I said, "Pin her down." "Are you all cowards?" One of them looked her straight in the eye. "If she's faking, then why don't you pin her down? She bit you last time, remember? What if she actually snaps again? You just want us to die for you." I almost burst out laughing right there. Oh. Internal strife in their little clique? How interesting. I paused, pretending to snap back to reality. I looked around in feigned confusion. Wait, what happened? I asked, eyes wide with innocent horror. Did I have another episode? The girls all breathed a collective sigh of relief. No worries. We understand, one said gently. You just focus on getting better, okay? It was the first time I'd ever seen them treat me with actual warmth. Meanwhile, Crystal's expression looked like she'd just swallowed a steaming pile of dog shit. The girls, probably afraid she'd lash out at them next, quickly found an excuse to leave the room. They scrambled out like rats, vanishing into the hallway. Crystal stood there, fists clenched, teeth grinding. I tensed, trying to anticipate her next move. You just wait, she spat through gritted teeth. I'll make you regret this. Don't think you've won. Then she stormed out. When finals came around, we finished all the exams in just 3 days. I decided to stay on campus a few more days and rack up some volunteer hours to help boost my credits. But out of the blue, the counselor called me into his office. He looked furious. Jane, she said, his voice low and serious. I've always had high hopes for you. But this time, I don't even know what to say. He slammed a paper down on the desk. It was a test. A perfect score. My test. The one I'd taken just 2 days ago. I stared at it closely. The last big essay question, I knew I'd left that one blank. But there it was now, completed, in handwriting that didn't quite match mine. It looked rushed, scribbled at the last second. Jane, the counselor said, looking like he wanted to throw up. Do you think your little tricks can fool the teachers? The last question was misprinted. There was an error in the problem statement. But you, somehow, wrote down the exact correct answer. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. I've been volunteering these past few days. I wasn't even studying, how could I? Oh, right, she sneered. That just means you were building an alibi. It's obvious. You cheated. I've already reported this to the school. The punishment will come soon. Say to any scholarships. His words crushed me like a bucket of ice water dumped over my head. I stood there, frozen. No. This isn't right. Something's wrong. I have to find out who did this. I want to see the security footage, I said, voice trembling. Why, he scoffed. You think someone broke in just to improve your score? Exactly. Because that's exactly what it looked like had happened. Someone had changed my answers to be better. And the question now was, why? But just from this one incident alone, no one believed I didn't do it. Nobody. The counselor waved his hand with a face full of disgust, telling me to leave immediately. I still refused to give up. I mean, come on, it was something I clearly didn't do. There was no way I was going to blindly accept this punishment while being completely in the dark. Stop pestering me, he snapped. If you keep being this stubborn, I don't mind tacking on an extra disciplinary charge, for insubordination. That was the point. I finally walked away, furious and defeated. Fine. If the counselor wouldn't let me check the surveillance footage, I'd find a way to do it myself. I shelled out a fat wad of cash to buy a high-end vape cartridge, that kind, and made my way to the surveillance room. I tried everything, flattery, pleading, small talk. Eventually, I handed the vape to the old guard sitting at the door, and he was this close to letting me in. And then, of course, a phone call came in. His whole demeanor changed in a second. Sorry, miss, he muttered, not meeting my eyes. Just got a call. Someone said a higher-up's coming by soon for an inspection. No rule bending allowed. You know how it is, gotta think about my retirement. I begged him, pleaded again, tried logic, emotions, even guilt-tripping. Nothing worked. He stood firm, arms crossed, like a fortress gate. I stayed there arguing until he finally sighed in frustration and spilled a little truth. Someone told me specifically not to let you in. Said if I did, they'd report me for negligence. I froze. Was it the counselor? And then, get this, he actually told the other guards coming on shift to block me too, like I was some criminal mastermind. They even passed it around like a memo. If that girl shows up, don't let her in. She's trouble. So, checking the surveillance footage? That plan was dead. At least for now. But I didn't have time to wait. At any moment, the official notice might come down, and once that happens, game over. Walking back to the dorms, I started thinking. Maybe I'd sneak into the surveillance room myself. Pick a dark, moonless night, Mission Impossible style, and get the footage before anyone could stop me. When I got back to my dorm, I had barely sat down when Crystal looked up at me, smirking like she'd won the lottery. Oh my god, how did I forget about her, the #1 suspect? Jane, she said, tilting her head with faux innocence, I heard the teacher called you away just now. You were gone a long time. What did she say? Was she congratulating you on getting first in the department? The smugness in her voice practically dripped onto the floor. Are you kidding me? Every time I scored higher than her in the past, she would get so twisted with envy she looked like she might combust. And now she's pretending to be all cheerful and bubbly about me getting top marks? Right. Can you guys give us a minute? I asked the other girls in the room, keeping my voice calm. I want to talk to Crystal alone. They left immediately, clearly terrified of me at this point. One of them even shut the door gently behind her. How considerate. Crystal stood there smugly, lifting her chin like she was a queen addressing a peasant. Go on, say what you want to say. You tampered with my grades, didn't you? I said quietly, the rage simmering in my chest. Just to drag me down. You're really that shameless. I was furious. First, she bullies and isolates me for months. And now, she messes with my grades? Do you know how hard I've worked these past few months? For the scholarship? For the government-sponsored study abroad program? All of it, down the drain. Her smile only grew wider. So what if I did? What can you do about it? Her eyes sparkled with triumph. You already told the counselor, didn't you? And what happened? Nothing. She doesn't care what a poor loser like you says. Can't even cough up a decent gift. My blood ran cold. This scholarship, that study abroad spot, that should have been mine. And here you come, sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Then she laughed. A full, delighted, belly laugh. You think the counselor's going to stick his neck out for someone like you? You're broke, you're powerless, and soon you'll be gone. That's how this world works. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. I wanted to scream, throw something, anything. But instead, I breathed deep. Forced myself to stay calm. That's the thing about moments like this, the more they want to see you break, the more you have to keep your cool. She tilted her head mockingly. What are you gonna do, huh? You think the counselor's the highest authority you can reach in this school? And even he doesn't care. She paused dramatically, then grinned. You're not gonna go crazy again, are you? What's she gonna do, punish you again? Only reason he hasn't is because we're students. If you go nuts, he can't really do much. I couldn't argue with her. Because in that moment, she was right. Is this really where it ends? My entire university life ruined because of a conniving and manipulative roommate with a weak spot in the admin? Crystal rolled her eyes and muttered, boring, then walked out, probably off to dinner. I sat on the edge of my bed for what felt like hours. Still. Frozen. She got away with it because she had the counselor on her side. That's the truth. The moment the counselor reported my cheating to the school, it would be locked in, no appeal, no undo. So I made a decision. I was going to make some noise. A loud noise. Because if something isn't loud enough, it doesn't count as a real problem. If no one hears it, it's like it never happened. I started calling every school department I could. One by one. Administration, student affairs, ethics committee, you name it. Most didn't even pick up. A few that did hung up on me the moment I started speaking. It was like yelling into a void. My voice didn't matter. Fine, then. Time to scream. That night, I took a pair of pliers and snuck up to the dorm rooftop. Cut the lock on the gate. I started my live stream on social media. Hey, everyone, I said. I can't live like this anymore. I'm going to jump off this roof. But before I go, I want to tell you what really happened to me. I want the world to know that I was here. That I existed. That this injustice, was real. No, I wasn't actually going to jump. But I had to make it real enough that people would listen. That they'd care. Because thanks to social media algorithms, a lot of people joining my live stream were from my own school. Some of them were even from my dorm. The comment section exploded. People were asking what had happened to me. Telling me not to do anything rash. Some of them even recognized me. They started piecing things together in the comments. Isn't this the girl who got exposed a while back for being bullied by her dorm mates? Didn't someone say she was suffering from mental health issues too? The more people learned, the more sympathetic they became. When they found out my roommates had secretly tampered with my grades, and the counselor not only turned a blind eye but actually helped them cover it up, pushing for me to be punished instead. The crowd lost it. I posted a few photos, shots of the rooftop, looking down from the edge. I sent them straight to the counselor. Also posted them on the school's anonymous confession wall. And then I told my story. I laid it all out, what they did to me. And the comment section? It blew up. People were begging me to calm down. Please, please don't do this, they wrote. You have to think it through. If you die, they win. This was my moment to shine. I turned on the waterworks like a pro. Real tears, full-on sobbing. I curled in on myself, making my voice tremble, painting the perfect picture of a broken, desperate girl. How can I calm down? I cried. What did I ever do to deserve this? Why do they hate me so much? And right in the middle of my performance, bang. The door to the rooftop burst open. It was the counselor. Wow, he came running faster than I expected. He rushed toward me in a panic, yelling for me to stop, to come down. His face was pale, looked shaken. Good. I figured, why not? Let's lean into this. As he reached me, I dropped my phone onto the ground with a dramatic crash. Counselor, please. I wailed. I'm sorry. I never should have competed with Crystal for the scholarship. Next time I swear I'll fail on purpose, just please don't punish me, I'm begging you. I grabbed at his pant leg, sobbing hysterically like I was fighting for my life. Please don't write me up. Please, please, please. I was full-on Oscar-worthy. Honestly, they should have given me a Best Actress trophy right there on the roof. But the counselor? He snapped. Grabbed me and yanked me off his leg. Get a grip, he shouted. Calm down, right now. I flinched back like I was scared to death. Please don't hit me. I shrieked. Please, I know I was wrong, I swear I'll be better. The screams I let out. They weren't exactly subtle. I was howling like a pig getting butchered. I couldn't wait to see what the live stream viewers were saying. Bet the chat was a war zone by now. And sure enough, people who had come to watch the drama unfold burst onto the rooftop. A few girls rushed over and pulled me away from the edge, surrounding me protectively. They looked at the counselor with pure disgust. If looks could kill, he would have dropped dead on the spot. His face was black as the bottom of a burnt wok. Do you even know what you're doing right now? He snarled. What's your endgame here? After the crowd thinned out a bit, he grabbed my collar and yanked me aside. What do you want from me? He hissed, furious. His fake calm was completely gone. Now he was just unhinged. I gave him the most pitiful look I could muster. I don't know what I'm doing, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Sometimes I feel like I'm not even in control of myself anymore. Maybe it's my mental illness acting up. That set him off. You know what, he snapped. I didn't even make you pay your class dues. Don't tell me you used that money to see a damn psychiatrist. Get your stupid head fixed already. I'm poor, I said, trembling, my voice soft and broken. He jabbed her finger at me, eyes full of fire. Don't think your little illness can be used as a shield. You try this crap again, and I swear, you're done. I'll make sure of it. You're not taking away my job. Then he shoved me aside with a glare so sharp it could have cut glass. I staggered, tripped, almost fell over. But it worked. By the next day, the story of that girl who tried to jump off the roof had spread like wildfire across campus. Everyone was talking. Even better? A bunch of students started sharing what they'd seen, how my dorm mates always acted like they ruled the place. How they bullied me relentlessly. Crystal and her clique? Infamous now. Still, it wasn't enough. The school hadn't stepped in. No investigation. No response. I still couldn't get access to the surveillance footage that would clear my name. So that night, I went back to the rooftop. Again. And I started another live stream. This time, the second I went live, the view count exploded. The numbers shot up like a rocket. People were panicking. What happened now? Why are you back on the roof? Don't jump. I sniffled. Tear-streaked. Then I dropped the bombshell. Last night, the counselor called me aside. He threatened me. Gasps in the chat. I played the recording. Thank God I had secretly turned on my voice recorder when he stopped me last night. In the recording, his voice was unmistakable. Cold. Menacing. Brutal. I cried harder. I don't know how I'm supposed to live like this. I still have more than 3 years left before graduation, and they're all against me. The counselor, my roommates. What am I supposed to do? The comments exploded in sympathy. People were furious. They heard his threats. They believed me now. I aimed my phone down again, showing the dizzying height from the rooftop. The camera shook. People watching were begging me to stop. You can't die, they said. If you die, they win. They'll dance on your grave. Please, don't give them what they want. You have to stay strong. Honestly? I was exhausted. I didn't know what to do next. So I went with the flow. You're right, I sobbed. It hurt so much. Why do they treat me like this? I swear. I'll make them pay. I'll kill them. Burn the bodies. Scatter their ashes in the wild. And then, I lost it. I started screaming. Crawling across the rooftop floor like something possessed. Howling, tearing at my hair, hissing and growling like a horror movie demon. The livestream chat lost their minds. People were horrified. Is she okay? She's having a breakdown. Someone call an ambulance. But the thing is, the more unhinged I acted, the higher the view count climbed. The more insane the comments got. The stream was on fire. Not long after that, the stream got cut for violating community guidelines. Public indecency. Graphic behavior. Sure. But guess what? Now it was a real scandal. The next day, clips from my livestream went viral. Meme pages, news accounts, gossip channels, they were all posting it. People were asking, what happened to this girl? Is she okay? And the school? Suddenly it was famous. But not in a good way. People started calling in. Flooding the school's phones with curses and rage. Demanding to know why no one stepped in. That's when everything changed. For the first time, I finally saw the school administrators who used to ignore my calls. The ones who told me to stop in making trouble. Now. They were begging me to discuss and talk. And I did. I walked into that meeting, looked them right in the eye, and said, I want to see the surveillance footage from the day I turned in my test. They didn't even hesitate. Of course, they said. We'll take you to the surveillance room right now. And so we went. Packed into that tiny little monitoring office, everyone huddled around the screens. And that was when the truth finally started to come out. There were a bunch of us crammed into that tiny surveillance room, barely enough space to breathe. The old guy in charge of the monitors kept rewinding and scrubbing through hours of footage until finally, he paused. Found something. Everyone leaned in. It was the night I had submitted my test. The office was completely empty. No staff. No teachers. And then, bam. Someone slipped into the room, tiptoeing like a thief. Moving like they knew they weren't supposed to be there. I squinted at the screen. Wait a second. Is that Crystal? Sure enough, it was her. Her sneaky, rat-like smirk said everything. She was practically oozing glee, thinking no one was watching. But now, the whole world was watching. We stared in stunned silence as she picked up a pen and shuffled through the stack of test papers. She pulled one out of mine, obviously, and started writing on it. Editing answers. Changing things. And then, she laughed. Not just a little chuckle either. A full-blown, maniacal, villain monologue kind of laugh. Pfft, she muttered to herself, grinning from ear to ear. Let's see what you'll do when they punish you. You think you can fight me? Dream on. I'm getting that scholarship. I'm going on an exchange program. I'm gonna bag myself a hot foreign boyfriend. You can rot. She kept scribbling, cackling like she was the main character in a twisted drama, fully lost in her delusions. Honestly, I cringed so hard watching her. I wasn't even mad at that point, I just felt secondhand embarrassment. Like, girl, you good? But that was it. That was the proof. It was all real. All the crap I'd been through. The sleepless nights, the fake punishments, the gaslighting. All real. I'd been framed. And the school, now desperate to salvage its reputation, jumped into damage control. Within hours, they released an official statement online, claiming the investigation had concluded. They even published the surveillance clip. There it was, clear, undeniable proof that Crystal Lee had snuck into the office and tampered with my test. The school said they were deeply sorry and promised they had righted the wrong. I wasn't the villain anymore. I was the victim. And the internet knew it. But for Crystal? That clip? That was her public execution. She was hit with multiple disciplinary actions in one blow: academic fraud, bullying, and malicious intent. And to make matters worse for her, she snitched. In a desperate move to save herself, she threw the counselor under the bus. Turns out, the counselor had taken bribes from her, gifts, dinners, little thank you envelopes. And in exchange, the counselor promised to help her sabotage me. It all added up. The fake punishments. The threats. The cover-ups. But now the counselor was done for. He was a fresh PhD graduate, just started his first year working at the school. And this was how he blew it, caught up in a scandal so big it made national headlines. He didn't even get a warning. The school fired him on the spot. Just like that, it was over. Everything that had built up like a storm finally broke. And me? I got my justice. After that, I poured myself into my studies with everything I had. I was disciplined. Relentless. Focused. I climbed back up from rock bottom and kept climbing. Eventually, I scored first in my major. I won multiple scholarships. I found a kind, brilliant professor who took me under his wing and brought me into his lab. I got real research experience, hands-on training. I started building the future I thought I had lost. And at school, people knew me. People respected me. They didn't see me as a victim anymore. They saw me as someone who had been wronged, but who refused to back down. Sometimes, first-year students would come up to me, nervous and unsure. They'd ask me what to do if they were being bullied, isolated, pushed around. And I'd tell them the truth. I'd smile, look them straight in the eye, and say, "Don't you ever put up with it. Don't shrink yourself. Don't try to be the bigger person. Screw that. If they come for you, you come for them twice as hard. You speak up. You fight back. You make noise. Don't let them think you're weak." Because if there's one thing I learned through all of this, sometimes the world only listens when you scream. And me? Oh, I can scream real loud.